Coming closer, know that I'm a mess. Tangled up in wires, I can't catch my breath. I run. Pulling deeper, I cannot confess. Drowning in the chaos, I can't catch my breath. I run.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yes.
Good actually. 1, 2.
Alright, what's up everybody? This is going to be the Season 2 Dribble Mechanics Guide. This is just going to be going into the individual mechanics of dribbling and not necessarily how to think as a dribbler or not extensively go into a lot of combos. Also a couple disclaimers. So one is I don't like aerial balls too much. Another thing is I'm going to explain things in terms of the performed action. So for example, this is pushball, not spacebar. And that's just because people have different input methods and keybinds. So the first thing I want to go over is the structure of a dribble combo or dribble move. A dribble combo generally consists of an opener into a pickup, or an opener into a mix-up or a space gainer, and then a pickup. And you pretty much just repeat these or alternate these as you move into more and more threatening space to either get a pass off or get a dangerous shot off. So an opener is a consistent low risk move that gives the ball a bit of starting inertia, which kind of makes the defenders have to track as well, which gives them inertia. And based on their reaction time and how well they pilot their character, you can use that inertia against them. So openers are pretty much your push ball and your swipes. Those are pretty much the best. A mix-up consists of moves that either help you change your direction quickly or change the tempo at which you change directions. So these consist of your walking wiggle and your stance tap, your pushcuts, your single swipe and multi-swipe combos, and then also your boost touches. A space gainer is for when you're moving the ball into open space. So the best ones are going to be walking push ball, efforting in a straight line, forward swipe push, and push cuts. This is when the defender is a little bit closer to you, like on your heels. Another thing, which is more like a concept rather than a mechanic, is forcing multiple encounters by changing pace. So as you're moving up a field, instead of, you know, you got a lead on your defender, oh, I have to take this lead all the way to the net, you can take that lead and treat it as the distance lead as a potential stamina lead. And as you wiggle and slow your pace down, because they're catching up to you and likely burning stamina, you can regain stamina, regain a bit of space, beat them again, and repeat. So last but not least is going to be the ball pickup. So in a dribbling sequence, you can divide that into kind of individual dribbling combos, and each of those dribbling combos normally end with the ball off your feet, pushing the ball into space. And so you want to mix up how you get that ball back to your feet to manipulate it again, because good defenders are kind of conditioned to tackle you on that ball pickup, because when it's off your feet, you can't immediately manipulate that ball. But the moment you touch the ball and you want to perform an action on the ball, you'll also get stunned if you get tackled in that moment. So this is why good defenders always kind of wait. So a really common example is on this forward swipe push. Defenders will normally tackle where you would pick up the ball. And yeah, so this is a really, I would say, the most important part of dribbling in modern rematch is mixing up that pickup and integrating different ways of picking up the ball. So the different ways that you pick up the ball are going to be your normal pickup, which are best mixed into a push cut or a swipe cancel. So as you pick up the ball, swipe cancel. I'm going to go into all this later on as we cover individual mechanics, but also the Ippy, the Vexis, and the stance tap. Okay, but these are the individual mechanics. So first we have Pushball. And this is great because it lets you move the ball into space pretty quickly. Sorry, that's a push cut. But this is just Pushball with all ball off feet. And when it's ball on feet, the Pushball doesn't go as far if it's where you're running. If it's a chop, it still goes kind of far. So this is a good time to bring in the concept of ball on feet versus off feet. When a ball is off your feet, yes, you can interact with it, but this animation and the delay makes it less reliable when you start an encounter with a defender. So you normally want the ball on your feet so that you can move the ball quickly and explosively at your will. So that's why when you start an encounter with a defender, I tend to like ball on feet. There may be other approaches to dribbling that are different to this, but that's just how I think. Next up is wiggling or walking, and also stance tap. So both of these are pretty good openers and mix-ups, but they're also very good because they help you regenerate stamina. So let's say you're going in one way and you beat your guy, you can do a little wiggle, regen stamina, so you can keep your stamina high while making it being unpredictable. Next up, swipes. So swiping is great because it's like a push ball, but you also keep the ball on feet. So that makes it really good for, again, being able to put in a new input immediately. What I would recommend as well is to learn the cooldown of single swipe so you don't roulette like this. And the reason for that is because when you do a single swipe and if you're able to keep single swiping as your first move, you always have the option of another change of direction with a roulette and a push ball. If you get your roulette animation already, you're pretty much forced to either hold the ball for like a second where you're vulnerable, or a good dribbler, after they roulette, they'll normally push the ball off their feet so they're not tackleable during that moment. However, if you stay on your first dribble, then you can just wait for that exact moment where you need that extra change in direction, or two changes in direction, and then take advantage of that stored up extra dribble. Another thing, which I briefly alluded to, is you can cancel your ball pickup with the swipes. The second you see a yellow on the ball, which means that you picked up the ball, you can swipe and cancel that pickup. So right there, instead of fully touching the ball and then going, here as soon as I'm getting the ball back on an Ippy, I'm swiping again to cancel. And this is really good because, as I mentioned earlier, you want to mix up your pickup. So if you're able to Vexis and they think you're going to drive forward here because of the Vexis, if you cancel that with a swipe, then they might bite into that space thinking that you're going to, go forward at them. So they're going to tackle into that space, but you just went back, and then you actually go past them. So that's a good segue into the swipe push. So swipe push is just adding a swipe and then a push ball, and this is kind of your bread and butter. Or I'd say when you're proficient at this move, you're pretty much an intermediate dribbler. Okay. However, if you're able to do it in different directions, that gives you even more options for conditioning your defender, right? So let's say I'm forward swiping the whole way downfield. I'm just doing this over and over. Then on one time, I can do this and pick up with a phiff. Or I can, instead of going straight at the defender, make a cut when I get close to him. And if I've been conditioning him to just expect this the whole time, then that can get people a lot of times, right? So learning to mix in the different direction is definitely very helpful. If you do forward swipe push, this is such a common move, and the pickup of the forward swipe push is very commonly tackled. So I highly recommend that you learn the forward swipe Ippy or the forward swipe stance tap, because by doing that, you're able to mix up your ball pickup on the forward swipe push, and this gets a lot of defenders. Okay, next thing I want to go over is the Ippy slide. So there's a concept that I need to talk about, which is your magnet range. Okay, so your magnet range is how far you are from the ball when you'll pick it up. So I'm just gonna walk past this ball here and I'll pick it up. But sprinting increases your magnet range. So that's all the Ippy slide is. As you push the ball without sprint and then you activate sprint, that increases your magnet range, which lets you pull the ball the opposite way. Another aspect of magnet range is that when you're in defense stance, your interact range is bigger, but you don't pick up balls. Balls will bounce off you. So what you want to do is tap defense stance and use, as you let go, that bonus range effect kind of lingers. And so that's what allows you to Ippy, for example, a forward swipe push, even without stamina. It's because I'm using sprint and defense, and both of those things stack to increase my magnet range. Another concept that the Ippy highlights is the character's hitbox. So for the Ippy, you do have to tap defense stance as the character sticks their foot out right there on this moment. Now, because as you notice, when you turn around, as your character turns around, their heel sticks out. And that's considered to be the edge of your hitbox. So before that, your hitbox is not as big. As at the peak of your turn, your hitbox is largest. So you have to tap defense stance at that time. So those two things in combination, if you tap defense stance as your character's leg sticks out, then you can use that part of the hitbox to your advantage. The next thing I want to go over is the Vexis. So it's just dashing towards the ball. So what's actually happening with the Vexis is you can just tap defense stance and dash, and don't hold defense stance. The properties of defense stance will remain until the dash finishes and a little bit after. So this is why I can just tap defense. I'm not holding it at all towards the end, but I can still pick up this ball and drag it, which is a property of defense stance. And the dash just puts you in range of the ball. Oh, one more thing. If you dash forward at a ball, you do pick it up, but it's not nearly as good because you don't get a drag animation. So forward, you don't get a drag. Backwards, it drags you. Sideways, it also drags you. So what I was doing earlier too is the stance tap, aka the phiff, aka the cold cut, aka whatever. Deadzie kind of showed me this one, and I'm finally somewhat getting the hang of it, but still not always. The idea behind it is, just like the Vexis, you want to use the defense stance to increase your magnet range. However, this one feels a bit finicky because you have to run into magnet range as opposed to dash into it. So when you run into it, you might just end up picking up the ball by accident. So there is a little bit of tricky timing with this one, and I would suggest also turning your camera a little bit. I'm not sure if this is the case, but I think the game sees the character's hitbox as a rectangle, and I think when we turn camera, there's a bigger chance that a corner of that rectangle kind of intersects with the ball's hitbox, at least in a way that's favorable and gets this nice drag animation. But it is technically doable even without the camera movement. I think it may also have to do with the fact that when you're in defense stance, you don't pick up balls, but when you let go, you do. And so if your hitbox intersects with the ball at any point during defense stance, then I think afterwards it lets you pick it up. But again, this is just my theories on how this mechanic works behind this, like behind the screen, but I'm not too sure. So the Ippy, the Vexis, and the stance tap are the three kind of big ball pickups, like I said, as opposed to the normal pickup, that you want to mix into how you're picking up the ball during a combo. And you want to use all three. The Ippy mostly with pushcuts, but the reason is because you want to change the tempo and how readable you are. So let's say, there we go. So I'm going to Ippy one time, I'm going to stance tap one time, and I'm going to Vexis one time. And each time the ball puts you end up in a slightly different spot relative to the ball. And this makes it harder for the defender to track your back and forth motion. Or you do a normal pickup and then you do a swipe cancel like I showed earlier, or a push cut, which we haven't gotten into yet. The next thing is going to be effort and effort touches. So I low-key want to make this into its own video alongside push cutting, which is the next thing I want to go over, because there's quite a lot to go into with these mechanics. But the premise of effort touches or boost touches is when you touch the ball with effort, the ball gets moved in the direction you're facing if you touch the ball accurately, right? If you're on an oblique angle, the ball can bounce to the side. A golden boost is when you do another input like a push ball quickly after you boost touch it. That's the premise of the golden boost. However, since the newest patch, you can do multiple boost touches and then still get that golden boost touch. So that's something new. The thing that you should know about that is if you do a big direction change like this, your character loses a lot of speed, even though the effort is starting up. So it takes a while to catch up to the ball. If you do 90 degrees, I think it's around like 110 actually. See, I'm still getting full speed even though I started running to the left and turned my camera a little bit to the left as well. I still kept full speed, but pretty much you can keep your full speed if you're not doing a huge angle change. So then you can get a lot of boost touches in. Oops. I messed that one up. But the idea with the boost touches is just to hold your direction. Here I'm doing it with my camera, right? I'm boost touching with my camera. You can also boost touch with just your changing your character's direction. So like this, right? So either way, but after you change direction, you want to hold that direction still so you don't run off the ball. And then time those boost touches with you changing direction. Another thing to go over is pickup boost. So if the ball is just like this, the ball is being passed, or it's a free ball on the ground and you're both chasing at the ball, you can activate your boost and first touch it with boost, right? You can also boost and push it. So let's say there's a guy coming this way from that side and the ball is over there and I want to get it away from him to over here. So you can boost. Oh, I did that wrong. But I think you get the idea. You first touch boost it, and then you push it. I mean, you can change the direction, right? You don't have to go straight, but you could do whatever you want pretty much with after you touch it with your boost. It is a little tricky to time, but they've made this timing way easier in later patches. In the earlier patches, this was like actually almost impossible to do, it felt like. But yeah, now it's very doable, so good luck. Another thing with boost is going to be the drives. Well, if I do a push ball and a free ball, I can't Ippy that because it's too far away. Unless I use defense tap, but that's not the point here, right? So I can't Ippy that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use my effort, because effort increases my magnet range even further, okay? And by using my effort, again, as my leg sticks out, so as I'm turning right there, I'm going to tap effort on a ball that's too far to Ippy, and that will give me the drive. There are a bunch of drive setups, but yeah, there's some other things I want to go over with boost, like ball on feet boosting versus off feet boosting, because the timing is a little bit different, and all the drive openers and foosting, which is like push cut boosting, explore those a little more and then make a longer video on just effort itself. So the last dribble move that I do a lot of is going to be pushcuts, and their biggest value is not actually to like slice through the defense, but by spamming pushcut and sprint pushcut. It's more so actually to mix up the tempo of your dribbles in my experience. So let's say you're on a tempo of swipe swipe push, swipe swipe push, swipe swipe push, Vexis, swipe swipe push, Vexis. That eventually becomes predictable. So even as you're changing the directions a lot, maybe you're using your brain about this, the tempo still feels a little steady, and a good defender or a patient defender won't bite. So pushcut's good because it's a little mix up of the tempo. For example, when you Vexis, you pushcut, and then defense tap into F1st swipe, or you pushcut, and then swipe. So it kind of just breaks the pace of what you're doing, or changes the pace of what you're doing. How the pushcut works is every time you pick at the ball, so right now it's off ball, look at the ball turn yellow, right there. In that moment, that's when you want to turn your camera and hit the push ball button. And if you do it in any wrong timing, it won't work. So you can do this in every direction, though I'm definitely the most comfortable doing it forwards. And then probably second is backwards. But you can also go side to side with it. And I'm gonna Ippy. Yeah, I'm not very good at going to the right, it seems. But yeah, there I was Ippying and push cutting left and right. So yeah, with the Ippy chain, you can push cut a lot and look really dizzying like this. But the value of the push cut and the reason why it's such a good mix-up and tempo changer is because, unlike most push balls, if you push cut at a big enough angle, so at a small angle it is a little, you can juke some people with that. But if you do a big angle change, so more than 90, you can very comfortably Ippy that ball, even at low staminas. And then at 0 stamina, you can still Ippy, but you have to hit the defense tap. Oops. Because the push cut is something that you do immediately as you get the ball, but it's also something that immediately gets the ball back off your feet, but back off your feet in a way that lets you quickly regather it. It's just something that you throw in between moves, I feel like, where it kind of just mixes up. It can throw off defenders and bait tackles, is what I was trying to say. You can push cut anything that involves the ball starting from off feet to on feet. So, for example, a pass you can push cut. You can push cut a rainbow. You can push cut a short lob. What else can you push cut? Oh, you can push cut an Ippy. And then you can also push cut an Ippy over and over, right? Here I'm doing it with the camera. But you can push cut your Vexis. You can also push cut your stance tap. Your stance tap would look like that. You can also push cut receiving the ball with boost. You can push cut jumping on the ball. And so this one just takes a lot of time to practice, to be honest, like especially going in different directions and at different stamina levels, because as your stamina drains you run slower, so the timing changes slightly. There's also a slight difference based on ping, so it's probably gonna feel different when you're push cutting in the practice mode to when you go in a live game for the first time. Just a warning though, a lot of people probably, if you're trying to push cut for the first time, you're gonna be chopping the ball a lot, so kind of like this, and you'll be like, oh my god, this doesn't work, what am I doing? But it's literally a timing thing. So you only want to push ball when the ball is yellow, so try it in a straight line first and just look at that blue zooming in onto the ball and turning yellow, and kind of get used to that rhythm, boom, 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 and then start turning your camera. And at the start you'll probably just get one at a time, and then eventually you can do them a lot of the time. Another thing too is as your stamina gets lower, I think with push cutting it becomes more and more valuable to defense tap it instead of ippying. And also that push cuts are really good as a first touch. So if you're able to receive a ball on your feet, push cuts are a really good way to throw off that first touch. And as I fuck it up, of course. I hope all those made sense. Yeah, with push cuts, I probably took like 2 months to get proficient at them, especially adding in chained ippy cuts, like doing these, maybe even longer, and going in different directions, mixing in your stance tap and also your swipes. You want to pretty much push the ball, sprint at it, turn your camera, and press push again as the ball turns yellow. Oops. That's it. So hopefully this video was helpful. I wanted to make it a little bit more about how to think about different dribble moves and how to use them, as opposed to just going over mechanics again, because, or like literally how to do them, because a lot of videos I feel like already show that. But if you have any questions, please ask, and if you have any thoughts or any advice for me and how to think, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, because I'm always trying to learn as well. And yeah, if you stayed till the end, then you are not brain rotted, and good on you. Appreciate your time, and see you next time.